Excellent. And just a reminder for everybody who may have not been here in a while or is new that we do record these sessions and also use them in Lioness for articles so people can learn from your wisdom. If I don't know you already, I'm Bobby Carlton. I'm the editor in chief and publisher of Lioness magazine for the female entrepreneur, and I'm also an entrepreneur myself. I'm the founder of Innovation Women, Innovation Nights, and Carlton PR and Marketing. So today we are going to just big reminder again of the networking guidelines. This is a safe space. Stay respectful of others. Pop those intros and promos and connections and all that good stuff in the chat. Let's stay muted while other people are talking. And if you can use that raise your hand function to get things, keep them organized, that would be much appreciated. So next, here we go. Our agenda today is just a quick welcome. We're also going to just do a quick overview of some of the things we have coming up. Today, we're talking about bouncing back from rejection. We'll have a group discussion, takeaways, and talk again about future events. Our next event that is already scheduled is our next networking session. It will be in March. So really only just a few weeks away. So we're going to be talking about all things related to money. And this is actually being driven by me attending a network event with female founders. And there was a big discussion on banking. So we decided it's time to start talking about money. Our next webinar for Innovation Women is coming up on Wednesday, March 18th. And Suzanne is also dropping the links to these webinars in the chat if people are interested in them. We're going to have a book writing masterclass with Susan Baraka. So very excited about that. And just a reminder, if you haven't done so, joining our community of women entrepreneurs, networking with other women entrepreneurs, increasing your visibility, and accessing all the great resources we have at Lioness Magazine and also Innovation Women. If you're an Innovation Women entrepreneur level member, you also have access to everything that is related to Lioness. So excellent. All right, moving on. And I already see people making introductions and information dropping into the chat. So I think what we're going to do today is we're going to start out this conversation with a survey, and I'm launching the poll. And I think that in terms of this discussion, this is a thing that is probably better handled in an anonymous survey. So when you get rejected, what is your initial honest reaction? And some of you might recognize the 5 answers as the stages of grief. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I get rejected, it might as well be grief. And I also know that as speakers, as business owners, we're dealing with rejection every single day. So we have to be ready to deal with that. So I'm just going to give people a couple of more seconds here to fill in the survey. Again, when you get rejected, what is your initial honest reaction? So take a moment, answer that question, and we'll share it with everybody. All right. Everybody had a chance to answer? Yep. Thumbs up. Thanks, Michelle. All right. Are we ready? We're going to share those results. Here they are. Disbelief. What do you mean they rejected me? Anger. Yup. Not happy. Bargaining. Maybe if I did this instead. Depression. Yep. A lot of that. So 46% of us react to rejection with depression and then acceptance. So these are the stages of grief. So I think eventually we all get to acceptance. But just wanted to start that things off like that and share that. And by the way, to kick off this conversation, this isn't all about me talking. This is about you and sharing. So let's kick this off. I would love to hear those rapid fire I got rejected stories. We're always looking for good stories here at Lioness Magazine. Anyone feeling like sharing their big rejection stories? Pop your hand up. And by the way, if you don't want to be quoted on something, just tell us and we'll put it in anonymously or we won't use it at all. So, anybody interested in sharing their big rejection stories? And I don't know about the rest of you, but as somebody who is constantly looking for new speaking opportunities, I get rejected all the time. And that's normal. Yes. Nobody's interested in sharing those rejection stories, huh? Not surprised. All right. Well, Alicia, yes,
I
my
can't
hero.
stand silence. I can't stand it. So I will vulnerably share that it really bothers me when I have a call with somebody and I feel like everything is going fantastic and they're all in, and then they ghost you, and they don't say why, or they promise they would do and then they don't. Um, and which is why I like to get payment on the call, you know what I mean? Because I have stress about there's the link and waiting, and I get my feelings about it. And it happened just twice recently. So I've been trying to just be like, Alicia, just keep it moving because you don't have time to perseverate on this. You gotta keep it moving. You're a business owner. It's not personal, or all the self-talk, but it's still stung.
Absolutely. All right, Michelle.
If I can just piggyback on what Alicia shared, because I experienced that recently where, as some of you may know, I have a program that I offer to university students. And I go through a great deal of effort, Alicia, to, read their information, their resumes and their letter of intention. And I interview them and they make commitments and they're all excited to come. Yeah, Bobby's going like this, so she knows the rest of the story. And likewise, and I've come to even send a commitment letter, are you really clear that, this is what, this is meaningful and you understand, this is taking a risk and you'll be walking out of your comfort zone. And I do all I can. And yes, then I'll just say I did an orientation just to say, okay, over the next 6 months, this. And then I didn't teach anything. And they said, oh, I'm out. I know all that already. Or I know, right? It was, thanks, Bobby, for that expression. It was like, I mean, is there anyone who really is a human being growing that can any of us say, I know all that already? But again, I'm learning about Gen Z. So, and I actually I'll expand it. I'm learning more about us, as I teach this to, yes, get to acceptance, to say, am I clear? I ask questions, and maybe that's part of our discussion, to make clear what maybe I didn't communicate or what I didn't understand when they're using certain words, right? The denotation versus connotation. So I'm always, willing to ask and make clear. But I know I answered depression, but for me, deep sadness, because I really do. And I sense, I know Bobby actually the best of all of you. I sense, it's like, I want to learn. I mean, if I'm not being clear, if I'm, not making, the commitment what it is, and I'll say I'm trying to have the program be a very high bar, in my definition of it. So yes, it's out of your comfort zone, and yes, it's taking risks, and yes, I'm to create a safe space in order to do that. And how better can I do that for you? So
Yep.
right, but I mean, I just really feel right where we all can grow and learn, and which is why I've come to this session, to hear, what might I not be totally embracing, even though mentally I think I am, energetically maybe I'm not, and I just, I'll leave it at that. So I'm here to learn, but also here to say, just hope to have greater reflection, welcome all of your feedback, and yeah, to help me see what I may not be seeing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Anyone else with a rejection story? Like maybe there's a no that stuck with you longer than you expected, and why? Alexia.
I guess for me, I've had like a couple different experiences similar to both Michelle and Alicia. So I was born without my right hand, and I grew up my whole life, I have a disability, but I never really categorized myself as that. I was around other people with different differences and everything. And as I've started to try and enter the speaking world, a lot of people have encouraged me to speak in front of a disabled audience. And so I started applying for, different events that were looking for keynote speakers. And I started to hear that I wasn't, I guess, disabled enough or qualified, which was crazy to hear, and playing on a different adaptive sports teams and everything. That was definitely something that was hard to take. And even like with schools and everything, I'm struggling right now with people taking me seriously with just being 22 out of college. And so a lot of people, I think Alicia mentioned, like tracking people down to get a booking and everything. I had a school that actually followed up with them today. I called them a couple weeks ago and they said, don't call this week, don't call next week, don't call the week after that, call the week after that. We had a snow day today and we're busy. And I'm like, okay, well, you live in the Northeast. We get snow all the time. So I called back today and they're like, we had a snow day yesterday. Like, you can call. I'm like, no, no, no. Like, I waited 3 weeks. Like, please just take my information. So I guess that's where I'm kind of at. So I put depression too, but just sadness from, I guess, constant rejection can really take a toll on you over time. So,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. Tony, you're up.
Thanks. See, I have like
Hi.
play chime for raised hands, which I did not parse as raised hand, but
I would not have either.
so recently, so I got an offer letter to coach group fitness at Title Boxing, like part-time thing. It's a fun gig. I used to box. It was really fun getting back in a boxing gym and like hitting the bag. I was feeling like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, way to start my mornings, get downtown, sign the offer letter. The start day, I don't hear from the person that was in touch with me. They hadn't given me a start time. And I reach out and I hear back from somebody who I'd never talked to before. And she's like, hey, sorry to let you know, but the role doesn't exist anymore. Nothing to do with you. But I still was thinking in my head, like, does this have to do with me? Even though, like, nothing had happened that would make them change their mind. I still was like, why would they do that? And I'm not sure if this verbiage helps anybody, but one of my friends said that his friend's grandfather used to tell him, know why. Like if you were just ruminating on something, wondering why, and it was a decision someone else made that you'll probably never get clarity on. Yeah, know why helped me a little bit through that. When I would like have a thought of like, maybe something like during the class, and like all of the feedback was absolutely incredible. So I'm like trying to like nitpick and find, I'm like, maybe they saw me having like a total lack of defense when I did my one like in front of people boxing event. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe they don't want somebody who looks like they, can't keep their hands up while they're boxing coaching. But then at an auto shop, I ran into a guy. I'm just like retelling the story to the guys in the shop. And he says, Title Boxing? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, yeah, they're like that. He goes, I worked for them years ago. Same thing. And I got a wave of relief. And in that moment, I'm thinking, like, wow, I hadn't been like actively thinking about this thing. And it wasn't like a huge hit. It was more of just a why. Like, why would this happen? There was an offer letter. Does that not mean anything? So yeah, even though I was thinking that I wasn't focusing on it a lot, apparently I was, because when I learned that somebody else went through that or similar years ago with the same boxing gym, I was like, oh, okay, well, I feel a little bit better. But
Safety in
good
numbers.
story.
Safety in numbers, right? When somebody else has had the same experience that we have had, it's validating. So, Joy.
I wanted to speak about, I'm not thinking of specific incidents, but the fact that my work is in emotional intelligence and emotions, and how many times in my life have had people going, oh, how interesting, how wonderful, but they don't really want to go into detail. And I only had one person who once said, it's too scary for me. I don't want to go there because it's scary. And so that's part of the experience that I've had over the years is people who are really interested in the topic, but they don't take any action, or they don't express wanting to know more. And I think it's this underlying fear of, I don't want to get too deep into that realm. It's too scary.
Do you call that a soft no?
Yes.
The soft no. Maybe not. All right. Let's talk about what we do with reactions, with rejections. How do we react? When do you pivot and when do you double down? So, does anyone have any rules of thumb that they use when they are experiencing rejection? Do you say, nope, this isn't for me, and walk away? I'm curious as to how people handle these situations. Michelle.
Thank you for asking that. So going back to the I know all this already, don't need it. Excuse me. The first time I was told that, I was kind of surprised. Excuse me. However, I was first clarifying, maybe she didn't understand what I was offering. So wanted to be sure what I was offering was clear. And when she took a strong stand on it, I just said, oh, okay, understood. And just felt like, there was nothing I could say that could clarify, because I do that. I tried to clarify. But to your question, Bobby, when I met with her again, and she now is making me the problem. That, right? It was what I had done or not done, or right or wrong, and could I do this, and could I ask more questions? And when she started putting it on me, I was like, okay, this is not me. This is not about me. So I find there's, I take the responsibility and the commitment to do my part. And as you're asking, when I'm hearing it's all my fault or I did something terribly wrong, and they had no responsibility or part in it, and there's no clarification they need or any questions they have, I'm like, okay, that this, I can walk away from this, which I did. I said, thank you so much, pleasure meeting you. No, we're not in alignment, and I wish you the best. So I hope that answers some of what you just asked.
Absolutely. All right, Joy.
I see that I mark depression too because there's a letdown. It's a temporary depression. It's when we have unmet expectations, there's a letdown. So I just give myself time to feel that without putting a lot of story. I used to put a lot of story on it. Now I just feel the emotion and let it move through me and then say, okay, what matters to me? What's my purpose and what's the next step? And I generally follow my intuition about what's the next thing to do.
Okay, so you've been rejected, everybody. And do you double down on what it is you're doing, or do you change what you're doing? Do we have any pivot people? It's like I've been rejected, I change up something. Okay, so we have a few. And the nope, I double down. I'm good. It is not my problem, it is their problem. So, Allison, that's a great point. Is there something that you want to I think you're off camera. Are you able to talk to that? There you are.
Sure, sure. There have been lots of times I've been either ghosted or just not right now, or the we're good kind of responses to proposals. And I've come to the realization that I need to learn from this and not let it like change me forever. I also checked depression, but I can't dwell in that forever. That's just not healthy. So I've been around a bunch of startup businesses recently, and their attitude is great, learning opportunity, let's move on. And the deal is every no gets you closer to a yes. And so I try and embrace that attitude because that hasn't always been the way that I think about these things.
Yeah, and that's the fail fast, the
Right.
all the no's get you one more step closer to a yes. Um, by the way, I believe that's a Sandler sales thing. At least that's where I first heard it. And in sales and in pitching yourself as a speaker, pitching yourself for funding, all of these different opportunities, there's going to be rejection, especially for women. I'm curious if folks have tweaks that they've made after rejections that changed the course of either future interactions or that particular interaction. So, is there something that you did that changed and actually changed the trajectory of what it is you were doing? Michelle.
And so I do an iteration as I hope I'm conveying. So, right, double down, ask questions, and etc. And then I took step back and said, what can I do differently? Either how I'm offering the services or what services I'm offering. And to be more specific, before I even do now the orientation, out of 80 applicants, I only chose 20. So I now meet with them even before the orientation. So I'm changing the order in which I'm doing so I'm clear that my communication is clear. And I'm also, Bobby, since I'm feeling one-on-ones is a lot more time demanded of me. I've totally changed my program to be more of a DIY, do it yourself, so people can do it more independently. So I'm constantly looking to test, to reflect on my own feelings and reactions and what's true for me, as well as learn. And then from that learning, experiment and shift it. So I literally have changed my program in terms of how I offer, what I offer, and what I offer. Because I'm honestly not attached. I have a goal, and how can I help these young beautiful university students evolve. I'll use that word, and that's just that's my dream. How can I help them gain agency and awareness and consciousness and understand their unique contribution and live their legacy now, not wait, as we're sometimes told. I think I froze. No,
Good.
to not wait till, later in life. But I'm always shifting, yes, taking a stand and then reflecting and then making changes and seeing how that works. Because I really feel there is so much in my learning this current audience, could be different from the last class or even the future. So I'm always trying to also balance. I'll leave my thought, maybe might be helpful. I feel, especially in groups, I'm the conductor of a symphony and doing my best to elicit each talent, each individual talent, and doing it in harmony, right? So that we, right together, create that space of trust and connection, which is where I think we grow the most. So I hope that's
Excellent.
helpful. Okay.
All right, Alicia.
As I was thinking about this question, one of the things I realized, I did a big deep dive on my clients, and I realized that, one of the things I help them with is to make career decisions. They are second guessing and stuck. So they are people who are not great at making decisions in the first place. So working for me is a decision. So I'm kind of already built that into it in ways I wasn't really thinking about. And so the adjustment that I made is to do a better job qualifying people so that I don't have all these discovery calls with people who really are not at the point of making a decision. So I specifically ask, what is the urgent decision you're dealing with? Not someone I'd like to change. No, my AI with all the transcripts I've uploaded has told me the language of the people who aren't really ready to change. So I don't always get it right, but that is at least helping, saving my time and really not second guessing people that I'm deciding not to move forward with. Obviously, I shared the ones that hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? I think I put the whole disbelief. I think I checked disbelief on the plan. But I do think making sure you're actually putting yourself in front of your people, right? Because we can get upset, but we really, our net was cast too wide. And they weren't people we should be working with in the first place. So I think that's something that can really help us.
So that actually leads me to a really good question. Is there a methodology that you're using to head off that rejection, like to avoid rejection? It sounds like you've said, okay, let's narrow the scope. Are there other methods that people can use to head off or minimize rejection?
I will tell you, I record every single discovery call I do. And I tell Claude, now he's Claude instead of ChatGPT because reasons. But I upload everything and I ask it, why did this person say no? And I have it's a lot that is working with.
Wow.
Why? And they're saying there's certain words they use that makes you know. So don't even pitch it to them. Just tell them, okay, I see we're not in alignment or whatever the words are. And you just end it. Where if they say like, oh, for my people, it's if they say, oh, I'm just stuck. I can't think about it. That's not my person. If they say, I've tried this, this, and this, then they're my person. It's a very subtle thing because I realized there are all these people that we can help, but that doesn't mean they're ready to be helped. And I spent a lot of time with people who are like, I can help you. And I found myself in more of a convincing mode when really it's no, 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 no. Put the energy in really understanding the language of the people who are not your people, who seem like your people, so that you don't bring them in. And I'm able to do that. That's two questions. It is, how urgent is this for you and what have you done? The data tells me if I, depending on how they answer just those two questions, I can weed out people who are not my people.
Oh, that's impressive.
It's fantastic.
Excellent. All right. Anyone else have methodologies they're using to head off rejection? Like, what are you doing to avoid getting rejected, or even are you avoiding rejection, or are you turning it into something better?
I'm still getting rejected in that I'm taking a lack of response as rejection. But with cold emails, I always start it with a pun, and I try and relate it to like where the company is located. If it's like in Boston, mention the weather. I mention like David Bowie and Queen because of the song Under Pressure. So I say, I don't want you to feel under pressure. I just like keep it light and I don't know, start out by trying to be a little silly because I'm probably annoying by jumping into somebody's inbox. And I also don't want to end up with my details that are in my email signature as part of spam filters somewhere because people hit the report spam button so many times. So hopefully my silliness makes people be like, no, but I'm not gonna report you as spam.
Okay. Has anyone else turned a rejection into a better opportunity? Like, you got rejected for that job, you got rejected by that client, you got rejected for that speaking opportunity, but something better came along. I will offer up my own, but Joy's got something. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I was part of an organization of coaches who did volunteer coaching. I don't want to give the whole backstory, but there was an organization forming of coaches that I thought I'm perfect for this to come in and be a trainer of other coaches to bring my work. I had a great conversation with the head of it. I did a free workshop for all these people who'd lost their job. They got great feedback on it. And then I was ghosted. I was just like, because I had forgotten about that. That's my biggest rejection I've gotten, and I got so angry about it that I'm forming now my own entity, the Emotional Evolution Institute, and it's coming together, and I'm excited, and I'm getting great feedback from people, and I'm just going to create my own thing.
All right, I'm taking my ball and I'm playing a game somewhere else.
That's right.
I like it. Chen Chi, how you doing?
Good. I'm no longer in Massachusetts. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska now.
Well, you probably had better weather yesterday than we did.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so my recent experience was that I reached out to Health Equity Works. I was hoping to collaborate with them to pilot and test my one of my initiatives, and then they turned me down. But then they invited me to apply for their speakers bureau. So, and they, if I get selected, they will provide free training. And I just had an interview with them, and I think it went very well. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Excellent. I always tell people Innovation Women, Carlton PR Marketing, and Innovation Nights were born out of rejection. That I was laid off from the startup I had been working with, ran out of money. And I was like, that's, we don't need you anymore because there is no company. So without them, without that happening, I would have never started my own business. So that is a rejection. Anyone else with a rejection that you turned into something else? Perhaps a rejection with the same folks. That's also a fun one to think about. Tony?
I was let go from the company that I was with for almost 8 years last April, and I had like side things going on. So my like personal training efforts were already started. I didn't have the certification yet, or the other ones even in my head. But upon having 40 more hours free a week and plus whatever else, I decided to wrap up certifications, get more, work on software around it, and get more involved in the Boston startup ecosystem and all the like female founder stuff and entrepreneur and speakers. And it's been really awesome. I think like
That's
I didn't realize what relief I would feel in being jobless. It's very odd.
I understand that. Michelle.
So wonderful input, everyone. Thank you. So when there was a debacle between Palestinians and Israelis on Columbia University's campus, having gone there for graduate school, I was amazed and very disappointed that the police was called in. And so I went on campus and started, saying, gee, what are you guys doing? How can we, bridge these divides? And to make a long story short, I said to them, I've been bridging divides for many, many years. Maybe, I can work with you and help you. And their basic response was, oh, that's very ambitious and that probably is very expensive and we can't afford that. And so, right, rejection. And I sat and thought about that and I said, okay, I'll do it myself. And so I launched Universities United, and we're now in over 20 universities, over 9 or 10 different countries. And so I think that fits your question, right? I turned, a no into no. I'm feeling really called that this is really something important to me. And this may not be, again, the iteration that's, ultimately how I do it. I'm looking, as I said, to change that as well. But yeah, every time I bump up against an obstacle, my question is, what's here and how can this be changed and what can I do differently and with whom? I think that's more than ever. I actually want to say that, collaboration is really where I'm moving these days, having launched so many businesses on my own. And I really feel it's time to have many different points of view together.
All right. Earlier, we did a survey asking for your initial reaction. I'm curious about people's strategies dealing with rejection. I'm a move on girl, like I got other things to deal with. I'm curious how other people deal with rejection. Do you have strategies? Do you have an attitude toward rejection? How are you dealing with rejection? It could be a one-word answer. It could be a whole thought out strategy. I've got files and files of rejections. Anybody?
I'll share, and thank you for allowing me to come in a little late. I actually had a client call. Yay.
Yay.
I was in the music business for years. If you want to experience rejection, try that one. Seriously. And I feel it's important for me to feel my feelings. If I need a timeout, I take it. If I feel like a pivot is in order, then I pivot. And we have to understand that when we're pitching for something, it's what I call a game of favorites. Somebody's looking for something and it's just not me. I have to accept it. But I think the worst thing that I can do is let it beat on my self-esteem and self-love. So these are exercises I give to my clients, which are I am enough, which is real basic of stamping around the living room and screaming I am enough and doing the things that will build up my own level of self-esteem and self-love and going in a new direction. I think the worst thing we can do is just sit and beat ourselves up over it.
Excellent. And there's some terrific responses in the chat as well. Gerald, do you have something to add to that?
Well, we're raising money. We've been rejected 2,000 times. So we've really perfected how to handle that. The main reason for rejection by investors is they don't invest in women. They refuse to invest in women's health. They refuse to invest in women's diseases. And we've got a cure for 1/4 of the women in the world, and investors just don't want to invest in it. And so what we tell ourselves is, well, I guess they just didn't understand. Or maybe they just don't care. And so we'll just have to move on and find someone that does care. And that's what's got me occupied for the first half hour. I had an unexpected investor meeting. So I apologize for being late.
Believe me, we will never be upset taking a second seat to an investor meeting, right? All right. Anybody else? How are you dealing with rejection? What's your strategy for dealing with it? And I love some of these answers in the chat. So, treating every setback as a growth opportunity. Rejection is redirection. Radhika.
Yeah, I think Bobby, for me, I've had to reframe it as it's not rejection of me. It's the rejection of what is happening in that moment, that offering, that speaking engagement. It's just the thing. It's not. So I'm separating the thing from the persona. And that's been really helpful, and it allows you to just press reset and go at it again.
Excellent. 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 All right. I've got another question for you folks. Has your relationship with rejection changed as your business has grown? Or maybe as you have grown with your business? I know that in the beginning days of my business, every single person who turned me down, it felt personal. It's not personal. They just didn't need what I had to offer. But I realize that now. I probably intellectually realized it then. But now I've given myself the benefit of the doubt and said, it's not me. It's just not a fit for them. So, has your relationship with rejection changed over time? Did you react one way and now you react differently? Anybody? See a lot of
I'll
nodding, some
just,
great stuff in the chat. Go for it.
confirm what you said, that over time, I used to, oh, I mean, it was devastating, but it's not about me. Someone just said it's not about me. And yeah, now it's like, well, they either don't get it or whatever. It's not right. It's not the right path. And what is the right path?
Mm-hmm. All right. Helen, you're muted, I believe. Hope you're not muted, but I can't hear you. Selecting of a microphone, maybe? Or are there headphones that are deciding not to work?
Can you hear me now?
You are coming in a little bit faint, but yes. And now we can't hear you. All right. Anyone else? Well, Helen?
Can you hear me? No?
Very faintly. It sounds like there are headphones plugged in somewhere. No? Okay.
Now? No?
Little?
I don't
Something's
have
going on. You're coming in.
I am?
Yep.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. No, not so well. Okay.
Yep.
Every call is a different problem with the audio, but you can hear me anyway.
Yes.
What I wanted to say is simply that I didn't know rejection when I was younger. Since I started my own business, however, I've known a lot of rejection. And I just want to say that the relationship between rejection and age, it makes it easier somehow, if that makes sense. So for those who didn't know rejection before and were generally speaking successful, rejection comes like a new friend because it's an opportunity to switch gears and restart somehow.
Spoken like a true philosopher.
or and a failure.
We cannot always succeed all the time. All right, Tisha.
Hi, hello, Bobby. Hello, hello. I love this question because, quite honestly, I'm a fan of feedback loops. So for me, I see rejection as some type of feedback loop, and I've learned over the years to de-center myself. So I no longer place myself in the middle of that particular rejection and not have it as an application towards my character, but towards what type of content was misaligned in that particular moment. So, and it's to be specific, if there's a rejection that happens, I don't think of, oh my goodness, they don't like me. I think of, okay, so let's reevaluate what they were looking for, and then looking at how maybe my presentation was a little off for them, because definitely there's been plenty of rejections, and sometimes it's misunderstandings that happen on my part. I've definitely had that experience before, but I would, one of the things I say immediately internally is, huh, your loss. And then what I express externally is, I'm so appreciative for this opportunity. Thank you. But that's really an immediate sort of tactic, or methodology that I'll say that I've utilized. That internal your loss is reclaiming what I am able to bring, the worth I'm able to bring, the talent, the gift I'm able to bring to others, and maybe they'll have their pretty woman moment. You know that scene is one of my favorites. She walks back in the store. Mistake, big mistake.
Big
But at the
mistake.
end
You
of the
work on
day,
commission, right?
yeah, exactly. So, but that's what I utilize. Sort of, it's I decenter myself from that particular experience, like you said, no longer take it personally, because sometimes it really isn't personal. It's just things are misaligned.
Excellent. I'm curious how many people build rejection into their plans, into their expectations. I'm a marketer, so funnels are rejections. Each little micro rejection, somebody is not moving along the path to becoming a client. And quite frankly, that's what we want. We don't want to waste our time and energy on people who are ultimate rejections. So, do other folks here build rejection into the plan? Ah, Alicia, 20%. Huh? That's pretty good. That's excellent. Ambika, I saw you wave at me.
Thank you. I believe expectation is the thing that I turn away from. Hope is a good thing. Expectation, in my opinion, is a recipe for disappointment.
So don't expect anything?
Exactly, you can hope, but there's a really fine line between hope and expectation. If we're expecting an outcome, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. That's my opinion. If we're hoping, if we're praying, that's a different thing.
Okay. Excellent. Do you think rejection is inevitable?
No, we have to believe in ourselves.
Mhm.
We have to believe in ourselves. If we walk into a situation trying to offer something, does it make sense to focus on rejection? No. But we've got to have something built into the fibers of who we are to be able to handle it. And the only way to handle it is experience. So I talk to people every week who are looking for work and clawing, and upset. The job market is rough right now. And I tend to attract clients like this. And I'm incredibly compassionate about what they're going through. But I see that, okay, is it time to really focus on your self-esteem? I used to be afraid of the void. I wrote something in the chat earlier, in between contracts, or if I opened up my calendar and there was nothing scheduled. And I remember This was when I was a massage therapist, which is a very by appointment kind of situation. This was a long, long time ago. And I had a client who was steady, who would book her next appointment when she was finished with the current one. And I remember flipping open my calendar and her gasping. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "You have nothing in the month." I said, "So what? It'll fill up. It, people will come." She was in a corporate job. She was running a department for a big company that did slicks, the paper advertisement for doctors and drug companies. I mean, that you would think is a stable job. And a few weeks later, no kidding, after she said this to me, she walked into work and they said, "We're cutting your department."
Wow.
And she became a massage therapist, and I sold her one of my tables. No kidding. True story.
That's great. Michelle.
Yeah, interesting. So for me, it's key what words I use. So if whether it's 3% are going to leave, or 10 or 20%, right, are not going to continue, right? I don't see that as a rejection. I really see that as a lot of things. It could be out of alignment. It could be the wrong time, right? So I really do have the expectation after so many years that not everyone will graduate, as an example, right? Not everyone will complete what they committed to. And I, see that there are many reasons for that. And so it's not neither all about me. I take some responsibility. It's also something about them, right? And so I think as long as I change my language, which for me is really important, it's what reality seems to be telling me at this moment. So 20% will not graduate. And then again, it's allowing for that when I go into it. So I can have the results, or at least help those that I know I can, knowing, I won't need to help everyone, because everyone won't make it through the entire process. Does that make any sense to what I'm saying? Yeah. So, Ambika, I agree with you, right? So I'll keep it. I really want to emphasize your heart, or your energy. Hey, anything is possible. I don't want to have negative expectations, which I know is maybe a self-fulfilling prophecy. Am I getting what you're saying correct? That, the words can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So just changing it from rejection to, yeah, in life, many people will not follow through. It will not complete, or again, timing is wrong, et cetera. Things will arise. And so with all of those variables, see that things will change. I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. And I love some of the things in the chat. Tisha, expectations are destinations to disappointment.
I say that often. Sorry.
I also particularly like Tony's egg counting. I'm adopting that phrase forevermore. Tisha, you were saying?
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just saying I use that phrase a lot, of being destinations to disappointment. And I'd rather enjoy the journey than going straight towards, a disappointing ending, I should say. So I've always seen things as invitations, and I'm okay with not being invited. I'm okay with people sending me RSVP no, because I recognize that there are other spaces and places where I will thrive. I do thrive, and all of this holistically is embraced. So I'm a huge fan of yeah, disappointment is definitely a destination driven from expectations, for sure.
Excellent. And I want to remind everybody that we use information that we have gleaned from our networking sessions and our topics for articles on Lioness Magazine. If there's anything you've said that we need to pull out, not attribute, please let us know. We want to make sure that we're protecting our members. At the same time, these sessions are a great opportunity to be seen. And it's always helpful to us if you can drop your links and your contact info into the chat. Not necessarily contact info. If you need to send us information, you can do that directly. But your LinkedIn and or your website, this is the type of thing that we would like to do. Make sure we're linking back to you in these articles. Our next session, where we are having people in to network, will be about money, all things related to money, whether it's the finances of your business or the finances of your business as they relate to your personal finances. But everybody's getting ready for taxes in March. I know you are. Banking, tracking your money, anything related to money. So we'll pop those links into the chat. That would be fantastic. Suzanne's already beat me to it. Thank you very much, Suzanne. And I hope everybody has a terrific rest of your day. Do we have anyone who would like to offer parting words on dealing with rejection? Wrapping it up for everybody.
I'd love to.
Great, go for it.
In the words of Emile Coué, who was a very famous psychologist in the late 1800s, he developed what he coined the master phrase, which is every day, in every way, I am getting better and better.
Excellent. I saw a wave from Tisha too.
I was agreeing. I was saying yes. That was a praise hand. Yes. What Ambika said.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.